Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And Trump today announced, with this whole Greenland fiasco that's going on in Davos, Switzerland, he claims that a framework of a future deal, that's a quote, has been discussed on Greenland as he backs off the tariff threats. This is as pitiful drivel as you'll ever hear. This just goes to show that he came away with nothing. This has been an entire waste of time. This whole Greenland thing is utter poppycock. Listen, do they have gold up there? Yes. They have silver and diamonds and all that shit? Yes. They had minerals and all that? Yeah, they do. Okay? But if you think that the United States is just going to go up there and just start drilling for shit and taking it all for themselves, you're crazy. These Europeans these are not Africans. These are not Southeast Asians. They're not going to just let you go in there and take their shit like that. These tariffs didn't work because the threat of the United States being alone is real. BRICS is real. China and Russia combining is real with Iran, with North Korea. Let me tell you something. Iran has more oil deposits that can fund World War III. World War III won't be that long if there is one, God forbid. But the United States knows that they can't threaten tariffs on these people. They just won't sell us their goods, and they'll go to the rest of the world. We have this unbelievable narcissistic view, and I'm going to show you what Donald Trump said to prove this, that we are the center of the universe, that the world would sink if it wasn't for the United States. That is an Anglo-American viewpoint. The English had the same viewpoint. If it wasn't for England, the world would sink. Well, England is shit now. England's an insignificant little shithole country. They can't even control their own population. The world is doing just fine. The United States is turning into a shithole country. We can't control our own population. And the lights are still on in Berlin. The lights are still on in Krakow. This whole Greenland thing is an absolute embarrassment to the people of the United States, to Donald Trump, but he doesn't care. He's turning more and more into a buffoon, frankly. And it's just embarrassing now. This whole Greenland thing is just so utterly stupid. There are so many more important things to do. And the way that the right-wing media, the Glenn Becks and the Turleys and the O'Reillys, and how they're covering this and saying this is a great victory. Trump wins again. Wins what? He's come back with nothing. Trump says the U.S. is exploring a potential deal on Greenland after talks with NATO as he backed off these tariff deals with the European allies that had opposed his plan for America to acquire the island. Trump goes on social media and offers little to no details on the discussions that were going on, that both he and NATO had today. But he described it as very productive. You know what that means in communication speech? If you worked for a communications department, they don't have shit. We'll see you in 6 months. That's what it means. And they're probably telling Trump they're trying to keep Trump at bay. You know, every 6 months they push for another negotiation, every 6 months. And then once his term is over, they'll tell him to go fuck himself. And this only hurts the next Republican candidate, because what polling is showing is that the American people have no interest in this. This is just stupid. It's dumb. If Greenland was so important, why did the United States, who had I think it was almost 20 bases on the western part of the island about 40 years ago, why did they pull them all out? If Greenland was so important, it was more important 60 years ago, strategically. And now we're going to have this new thing called the Golden Dome. Sounds kinky. But that just means that you're going to spend trillions of dollars on a defense system, when the war is not being fought with drones and planes and ships anymore. The war is being fought with migrants coming in and diluting your blood of the blood of your country, destroying your country from within. That's how these empires fall. It's not from one army or one war. It's from a whole litany of things that occur. And usually it's always from within. Economic collapse from within. Societal collapse from within. And we're having both of them now. Now, Trump was rattling this transatlantic alliance with weeks and weeks and weeks of rhetoric that the U.S. President, Trump, said the meeting had led to a, quote, framework for a potential agreement. That means they have nothing. They have nothing. And there's no suggestion of a deal that might meet Trump's demand for ownership of Greenland, an ambition that he's restated over and over again, and he restated at the Economic Forum in Davos in Switzerland, while also ruling out military force. So he's gone back on the tariffs. He said that he'd consider military force. He's gone back on that. And he's come back home with, what, his dick in his hand. So what was all this for? He got nothing. And then on Truth Social, he goes on and says, and I quote, "We have formed the framework for a future deal with respect to Greenland and, in fact, the entire Arctic region. The solution, if consummated, so that means that they had nothing, will be a great one for the United States and all NATO nations." That means they have nothing. They have no agreement. The Europeans are just, all right, Donnie, just calm down. We'll come up with something. We'll see you in 6 months. We'll see you in September. And you know he won't be back in September because now the midterms are coming around. And he's going to have to campaign for all these assholes who he promised he would keep in the House of Representatives. And let me tell you something. If he loses the House of Representatives, if he loses Congress and the Senate, which he probably will, this Greenland thing is out the window. Out the window. Now, there are diplomatic sources that are telling everybody and their mama that there is no agreement for American control or ownership over the Dutch territory. None. Zero. There is nothing going on here. This is just a whole big fucking waste of time. And then you got a guy like this goof named Marco Rubio and Steve Witkoff. I wonder what tribe he's from. They're saying that they would report directly to him in negotiate because they're going to be taking over the negotiations from this point forward. You trust these two morons? If they laughed at Trump, and they did, what do you think they're going to do with Marco Rubio? That guy's a simpleton. And the Danish are all happy. The Danish Foreign Minister Lars Løkke Rasmussen said the day ended on a far better note than it began, quote unquote. Quote, now let's sit down and find out how we can address the American security concerns in the Arctic while respecting the red lines of the Kingdom of Denmark. So they're willing to look at what Trump wants to do with the Arctic and protect it, and of course everybody does. But they're not going to give up Greenland for this. And the NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, while on a Swiss Alpine resort skiing, told reporters that they gave Trump a little carrot that could involve mineral rights. You see what this is now? This has nothing to do with security. This has nothing to do with some golden dome that will cost the American tax dollars, who can't afford it anyway, trillions of dollars. It has nothing to do with that. Is Greenland a strategic location? I mean, yeah, if you look at the map, it's shortest distance to Russia, but who cares? The U.S. has made it very clear. The U.S. has spoken about the island's largely vast, untapped reserves of rare earthly minerals, many of which are crucial for technology, including mobile phones and electronic vehicles. So there must be a lot of lithium up there. Maybe even a lot of cobalt. That's what this is about. They don't give a shit about security. And Trump keeps telling reporters, quote, it puts everyone in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and to minerals. Just come out and say, listen, we want the gold that's up there. We want the mineral. We want to extract the and give Denmark and the EU a fair rate. They want to make money just as much as you do. Stop with the nonsense of taking the island over and buying the island and spending $700 billion to purchase it and blah, 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 blah. It's not going to happen. NATO, of course, has said that they have not discussed the key issues with the Danes over the Greenland meeting with Trump. This guy Rutte told Fox News today, the issue, quote, the issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the president. Trump had previously dismissed the idea of leasing Greenland, saying that, quote, you defend ownership, you don't defend leases. Well, he's not going to own this. The Danes don't care about a military base. I think Italy makes almost $10 billion a year renting out Aviano military base in Italy, the Air Force base. 10 billion. That's what? You got a couple of planes on a landing strip. Give me $10 billion. I'll take it. It's an absolute farce. And again, there is nothing on the table that suggests that the Danes or the EU will allow Greenland to be sold or taken over by the United States. Zero suggestion of that. So this smells to me like a failure. But if you look on social media, if you look at right-wing media, Trump wins again. He did it. The Europeans pissed their pants. I mean, are we that dumb? Are we this pathetic that we believe that we are the bubble? We are in such a bubble of stupidity that we believe that this guy just went over to Davos and humiliated himself in various ways. And I'll show you one video here. And just scared the shit out of these guys with tariffs. It didn't work. They didn't blink. And Trump, who I like, listen, I don't think he's a good president. He's not doing very well. He's not doing well at all. This country's falling apart because of this guy. Falling apart at the seams. But I like him. He's entertaining. But this was just stupidity. Absolute utter stupidity. Now, let's look at Trump speaking at the Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, and he says some funny things here. This is about 56 seconds.
And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now, you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps.
I hate to tell you, Donnie, but in the part of Switzerland you're in right now, they do speak German. I mean, this guy's just...
After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. And then after the war...
I mean, sometimes you got to wonder about this dude. You know, he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy, but he's just... He just seems delusional to me. And a lot of the people that support him are just delusional. And you got to ask, are we this dumb? Are we this dumb? We all know that the United States has tremendous debt. 38 people, a lot of people are saying it's more like 50. Who knows? A lot of countries, Sweden just sold $300 billion worth of American Treasury debt. Russia holds almost $2 trillion. China holds almost $3 trillion. If these people call in those debts, and if they take away and they go away from the American petrodollar, we are fucked as a country. I mean, totally screwed up as a country. That's all it'll take. That's all it'll take. These threats will lead to that one of these days. Because after a certain point, you have to come through on these threats. You can't just make threats and then say, all right, we're going away. No, they're going to get sick of us. They're going to get sick of our arrogance, our stupidity. We're like punctual children right now. This is a very, very, very dangerous time. Not warlike time. I'm talking about societal time. I'm talking about a time where we could be England in the late 1940s, where it just collapses and where, like, we don't know where to turn anymore. And all for a block of ice that we had no interest in. The American people had no interest in. We could be destroyed economically, and that's the only thing we have anymore. We only have the dollar, and it's a fiat currency. We have nothing backing it up. Everywhere you turn, if you look at guys like Steve Ritter and Colonel MacArthur and all those guys who are talking on social media now and on YouTube now, these videos, they go over it step by step of what could happen. And these are former military people. These are former advisors to presidents. They know the inside. They know the inside baseball. We're in a precarious position right now. And anytime a president, anytime any leader has to tell you how important they are to the world, it just proves how unimportant we are to the world. A king doesn't have to tell people he's the king. People know it by his stature, his stoicism, his strength. If you have to tell people, without us, you wouldn't exist. It's just like, you ever date a girl who says, you'll never find anybody better than me. You'll pay for this. Your life won't be worth shit after me. That's narcissistic bullshit, and that's how women act. Trump is doing the same thing. And it's a shame. I thought that this would. I didn't think the second time would be good, but I didn't think it would be this bad. And it's bad. It's very bad, my friends. And there's my 2 cents. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friends, Satan is always busy. Be a man and have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And just remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. We'll see you tomorrow with picks.